So it's very easy to find it odd that how the left, everything that they accuse Trump of being, this dictator, this evil person who just willfully taking power. He's whatever it is that they could possibly say about him is exactly what Khomeini, the Ayatollah, is, but they rather keep him in power and get Trump out. Like the whole entire thing is, and it's all a figment of the imagination. And so the question then becomes, how is it possible for you to be on the wrong side of every issue every single time? Every time there's an issue, you choose the wrong side. So at this point, it's deliberate. It can't be taken serious. Almost anything that's going to come out. I mean, you're talking about people who are, abusive, who are rapists, who are all these things. Like, these people shouldn't be, arrested by ISIS. Like, I can't even understand how ICE can't arrest them because there's a paperwork, or this person actually does have citizenship, and you'll be willing to fight that to the tooth and nail of everything. Right. And the moment that, Elon Musk, who's done so much for the world, the moment that he even hints to start supporting the right, all of a sudden, check his visa. He's not really American. He's not this. The whole entire thing is completely backwards.
I've been trying to wrap my head around this for a while. Like, there's good and there's bad. And, we used to think like evil or bad was like, someone who robbed a bank, somebody who, murdered someone or beat someone up. But we're living now at a time when the way I see it is the evil nowadays seems almost like the biblical Sodom, right? Where the evil, as our sages tell us, that the reason it was destroyed is they got to a point where they were making they were making it the law. Evil was set in the law. You are not allowed to feed the poor. You are not allowed to give money. It was a level. It wasn't just a person has lusts and desires, and therefore he may do some evil things. But they wanted to incorporate it within the society to the
institutionalize it, right?
And I think that you see that all the most evil, like you have like the Vikings. We know the Vikings were terrible. They would pull up in their ships. Rape and pillage.
The NFL for
They would rape and pillage a city and then move on. But like, they don't go down in history as like the most evil. When you look at like true, pure evil, like the Nazis, it was an evil that was, they put it within their justice system that you had to be evil. You needed to, the Nazis, anyone that wasn't like them needed to be completely obliterated and destroyed. That was the law.
Right.
And there's this concept, and I think that there's when you're not going down the path of good, you're going down the opposite direction.
Right.
For a human, God has created the world that there's never such a thing as really staying in the middle. And when we're watching the left in America and throughout Europe, you can see how they're just a train wreck flying down the path of evil to a point where you can't wrap your head around it. It's completely insane.
Right.
But it's possible that was a blessing, that God wanted the evil and good to be so clearly defined, the contrast to be so understandable and clear, that I believe that that's why it is that way.
Well, that's what the sages actually say. The sages say that one of the prerequisites before the Messiah can be revealed is that there has to be no more gray area. The gray area gets dissipated, and it becomes very, very clear good from evil. Now, the problem with that is that the people that are in the evil, they don't know they're there. This is where this idea of a concealment within a concealment, meaning that there's so many layers over their heart, right, that no longer the light of God can't penetrate it anymore.
Do you believe that? You believe that they don't know that they're...
I believe with all my... They can't... It starts out as something where there's a cause for it, right? Like, we'll choose one of the main causes, right? Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump becomes the cause. Now, could you imagine if they would have told you 20 years, like we'd be talking about evil and good, and the benefactor of what makes a person evil is whether or not they support Donald Trump. We'll never even it's crazy. The whole thing doesn't even go together. However, but anyway, we're just using him as an example. It starts out with, I need to in any way possible to be against this person.
Just going to say, there needs to be against something, not for
Exactly,
something.
exactly.
Not actually for anything.
It's not for
Because
anything.
if they're for human rights, then they wouldn't be for Iran or for Hamas or for Hezbollah.
Yeah.
Because they're the antithesis of human rights.
Which was the ideology of Hitler. For him, is we need to destroy the Jews, because he said, as long as the Jews exist, we have a guilty conscience in the world. So that's why we need to destroy good, because if we can destroy good, then we can feel good about our evil.
Well,
That's
that's
why I
another
believe
one.
that I think they understand what they're doing. I think they're sheep in the middle. They're people.
Well, no, I think most of them are sheep. Most of them are just, it's identity politics.
Right.
You're on the campus, what's cool, we have to protest against something, so we'll protest against Israel. I mean, obviously, Israel, it's not just Israel. If it's coming from something deeply rooted. But once you get into that mode, like, okay, let's say, let me grant to you love Palestinians. Let's say you could even say that. Okay, you love Palestinians. They're oppressed. They don't have such an easy life. Fine. That's okay, fine. Let's just say. But to get up and praise a terrorist organization like Hezbollah, that's already going, that's not being pro-Palestinian. That's being pro an organization that's out to kill. And look at what's happened now. Now they're pro-Iran. You never saw Iranian flags. Now suddenly they're pro-Iran, the country that is the most evil country in the world that supports terror all across the entire world. They're pro-Iran and they're proud to say it. You could see that there's just no logic anymore. It's hard for me to believe that all these people really love Iran. It's not. It's just it's the next step in the cause against really the Jewish people, if you want to say Western values, JudeoChristian values.
I agree with
biblical values. That's what their fight is. It's against.
I agree, and I agree with the fact that they're not pro-Palestinian, they're not pro-Iran, they're pro-evil though. And once you're pro-evil, and once you've already established for yourself that this evil, the lie is called truth, right? So the book of Isaiah says, woe unto those who call good evil and evil good, right? There are literally those who have come to a place to accept even anything that's bad or negative or represents or opposes light, opposes the truth. They will naturally gravitate towards that cause. It's not because they actually believe in the cause. You're right. It's not because they believe in it. It's because they believe in the principles of which it represents, which is to go against light. And that's really what it is. I mean, the whole entire final wars and battles that we are slated to have, right? The words of God will not return to him void. So the war of Gog and Magog and all the wars that's highlighted, which, most scholars will conclude that, Zechariah in the 14th chapter, also same war, same thing that's happening all around, and all the wars that happen biblically in the end times, of which, God willing, we're there. I'm ready to dance with Mashiach already. But all of these wars that happen is literally light versus darkness. That's all it is. It's those, God will separate the nations. It says that I will bring them down. In the book of Joel, it says, I will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will enter into judgment unto the nations. On what account? On my land that they divided, right? So automatically, if a person believes in a two-state solution, right, you are against God. He says it very clearly. That will be one of the prerequisites of what will cause you to be judged along with the rest of the nations is the division of Eretz Israel. Not allowed to divide it.
I don't think the left reads the Bible too.
Huh? So number two is Israel, how you treat the Jewish people. Yeah. And this really goes for, and my heart goes out for all the people who are scattered in the middle and they don't really know how to understand it, because I think there's been some interference, I would say, in some of the support that has come from the Christian world by people such as Tucker Carlson, the Candace Owens, and different things like that. I want to think about this. I think it's by us, it's in the 4th chapter, but I think by Christians maybe in the 3rd chapter, around there where this specific verse is mentioned. These are the two things that God is going to judge the world on: how they treated Eretz Israel and how they treated the Jewish people. So it's very, very clear for me that if a person believes in a two-state solution rather than a Jew-state solution, right, you are against God already. So evil. So what happens to that type of person is that generally what we've been seeing is that they will start to follow every other evil that goes around there. Like I said, most of these people who get into all this and everything's conspiracy. And I believe, between me and Michael, I'm the conspiracy theorist, right? However, the truth is that if you live and you believe everything is conspiracy, as soon as something happens, you start looking for conspiracy theory. What happens is eventually that type of person, they will start to reject the truth as well. Anything that's the truth, because everything already has a premise. Something's got to be behind what's happened right here. It's got to be something. No, they're not telling me the full story. So what happens is that it only takes a while before such a person ends up denying God altogether, right? Because nothing could be what it is in front of you. So I think that that's the biggest danger, and I think that that's what's happened to a lot of these people.
Let me just ask a question here. I mean, because it's a little confusing. We're supposed to be students of history, right? Doesn't the world get that let's just keep it simple. If you go against the Jews, you lose and you die, and your nation is destroyed. If you go with the Jews, you exist along with them and prosper.
Proof of that is the Jewish calendar. we eat a lot of meat because of how many nations fell trying to destroy us.
But no, seriously, I mean, look, what happened to Egypt? What happened to the Babylonians?
Yeah.
What happened to the Persians? What happened to the Greeks? What happened to the Romans? These are mighty, mighty nations, and they don't exist anymore. There's not a remnant of them left. And the Jews, this is old stuff. I mean, Mark Twain said it. How many people said it? Just observe the Jewish people. Just look at history. So why are these people, like, they don't get it? Like, seriously, why? What are they missing over here?
Because the denial is the denial of God. Look at what happened right now. I think they expected somewhere around first day 2, day 3, or whatever, to have about maybe 4,000 casualties here in Israel, right? And we had a few maybe? Since even all the way, we're 10 days into this, we're nowhere near. Those numbers are nowhere near. And that's the biggest thing, is that because something that happens in the supernatural, even if it's in front of everybody's face, once you're TVE, once you are a natural person, you're only in this natural world, you can't see the supernatural, right? By us, we are called to see the supernatural.
But I'm saying history. Just look back at what happened in the past. You don't have to just look at history.
But what about God? The same thing happens to us. God telling us, He took us out of Egypt. We saw all the plagues. We saw everything there. And 45 minutes later, God took us out because He didn't want us having steak. We don't got any meat. We don't have any meat. Like, we've forgotten 45 minutes, right? So you're talking about a nation. They can't hold 10 minutes. If they are not in the world of spirituality, of where they're looking for God, they will not see Him. Even if He's dead smack right in front of their face, they won't see it. I mean, because as we spoke the other day, look how many miracles have taken place that the world, like, you can't write this. Somebody wouldn't have scripted it this way. So
takes us back to where we started. Trump's talking about God. Bibi, who is not a religious man, he's talking about God.
Right.
Even some of the broadcasters, even some of the media, if you will. Are trying to explain
that's
it.
not even a major story. Nobody's even talking about that. Trump said, "Thank you, God." Like, you understand? Like,
that
for
could be
us,
the biggest miracle.
They're not gonna put that on the news.
The biggest miracle is that people are recognizing that there are miracles.
Right.
The people that are least likely to recognize that.
Right.
It's just, I mean, we see it, we know it,
Right.
and we feel it. But even if you're just an outside observer, it's really hard to explain. Like you said, it depends how strongly you're driven towards evil, because then you can explain off everything. For an average person that really just is not driven off evil or good, trying to make sense of the world, it's really difficult today to be able to look at what's going on and just say there's no God behind the scenes. I just think it's completely illogical.
So human psychology is that when you have an agenda, you're able to block out everything that's going around you and only see the little sliver that you want to see. Now, talking about Ali and Eretz, like I always like to. I like this.
We got a question for you. I got a question for you. What's Trump saying? Make Iran great. Make Iran's going to be great again. And Iran was great for the Jewish people before the revolution, right? Does that mean? Would you agree that the Jews should now go back to Iran
I was
and
thinking
make
about
Iran
that today.
great
Like,
again? What do you think they're
big
better off here?
Iran's yeah.
What do you think?
I don't think the Jewish people should return to Iran. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But that's what I want to say. Like, we have an unbelievable psychological way of ignoring everything that's going on around us. And I speak to a lot of Jews. I try to, I try to convince Jews to, come back to the land of Israel. The redemption is coming. And so many Jews throughout the past few years that I've been doing this will respond, well, how do you know the events that are taking place now are really the events in the prophets? How do you know these are the events that are the events that happened before
Why
the
does it
redemption?
matter?
I agree. I
didn't
But just
come
talking
because
to
I was
that
thinking
point,
about all the events.
I totally agree.
It's really-
Nobody should come because
Okay.
it's the redemption. They should come because there is a commandment
I
to
just
live in
wanted
this
to get
land,
them on a roll.
and it's the holiest place in the earth to live. But for those who kept saying and answering back to me, how do you know? How do you know? How do you know? I tell those people now, how can you look at what's happening the past week? How can you look at what's happening every hour of every single day in the past week and still be in denial? And I think that it's unbelievable, the strength of human psychology, that people can ignore everything. You can be walking down a road, rockets falling all around you, and have no idea what's going on because all you want to do is look straight.
Right in front of it. I'll just give a quick example from the Bible. Joseph, right, when the brothers came down, right, they came down, they felt so guilty, when they were, looking for him. They came down to Egypt, they didn't have bread, they were looking for their brother. They always had it in their mind, they felt so guilty what they did to him. And, and they could never understand his dream that he's going to be the king, the second, they're going to bow down to him. That was like completely out of their mind. Okay. Because that was like, there's no chance. But here they are, they're in Egypt, and they're looking, where's my brother? Because in their heart, they were actually looking for their brother, and they saw him in the face. And the tradition tells us because he had a beard, they didn't recognize him. 10 brothers didn't recognize him. They were looking for him, and they didn't recognize him. Why? Because they had in the back of their mind, he could never be a royalty. He could never be a king. That dream will never come true. So even when they wanted to look for the truth, because they had this other truth in their head, which wasn't true, but they completely blinded themselves. 10 brothers looked at their brother in the face and didn't recognize it was him, even though they wanted to find him, because they had in their minds he could never be the king. We'll never bow down to him. So this is to your point. You cannot see what you do not want to see. Open your eyes, world. Open your eyes, Jews. Open your eyes, non-Jews. Open your eyes, Trump. He's already opening. Open your eyes, everybody, media, everybody. Let's get the story straight. The Jews are in an amazing place. The Jews are going up. Our enemies are going down. We feel it. There's like a shift. It's like in a ball game. It's like a ball game. It's that critical moment when like something changes and then the whole rest of the game. And we're there. We're past that point. We see where we're going. And just
momentum shifting.
Just come here and watch it. If you got to go through Egypt or you got to go through Jordan or whatever it takes, Cyprus. You saw this story today that Israel, they almost drowned 2 times in a boat. There's Jews trying to get here from Cyprus. So thinking, Israel, where are you? They said that, I just saw that. That's the one thing I saw on the news. It's like the Titanic over again. The Jews are drowning trying to get to Israel from Cyprus. Wake up, IDF. They got enough on their minds, and I'm not criticizing. I'm just joking a bit. But guys.
Right.
Let's get over here. Join us. This is
the message is the same. The message is the same for Jew and Gentile alike. As of right now, people need to open their eyes. They need to see the hand of God. And for anyone who does that, right now, it is not hard to see.
Right.
And if you want a good future, right now is the time to see what God is doing.
I never seen you so tame. I mean, you gotta beat him up, man. Take out your iPhone, shoot him down.
I could go hard, but we might need
Another
extra
time.
editing.
Another time.